Hello, we're rolling. Today is July 26th, and here is your reading. Let me just review your question. You said, let's see. You want to know what's going to come your way in terms of love. There's someone that you were seeing, but things are on pause right now due to fighting and all that. You'd like to know what will happen with him and you. And then you also stated, I'm open to meeting new men and dating, and you're willing to find that special someone. So I might refer back to this again just to make sure I don't forget both aspects of your question. But in the meantime, let's get started. So the deck that you picked was in this bag. It is called the Smith-waite Tarot Deck Borderless Edition. And I used that 9-digit number that you gave me to draw a card from the deck. So I usually use this to sum up the reading at the end. It's usually like either a guide for you or just kind of sums things up. So I'm going to leave that until the very end. And I use that number in a different way to draw an oracle card for you. So you picked animals. So we are using Chip Richards' The Secret Language of Animals oracle cards. And the actual illustrator is my favorite oracle card illustrator. His name's Jimmy Manton, and he's from Australia. And that's why I love using his oracle cards in readings. So let's see, I guess I can put that there. Let's see what your oracle card was, which I usually use to set the tone of the reading. Elephant. Okay, so you've got honor, empathy, responsibility, and cooperation. So the theme of the reading, honor, empathy, responsibility, cooperation. So let's keep that in mind as we build all of your cards. So we're going to do a romance reading. I'm going to go ahead and draw 3 cards to build a foundation for you. Okay, 1. 2 and 3. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So I would say that it looks like there's some well, this is the Ace of Pentacles, and Pentacles are about like being grounded, your home life, Maslow's needs, and Maslow's needs are like the basic necessities that you need in life, like food, clothing, shelter, emotional support, all of that stuff. So this is really like Pentacles are about home life, about being grounded, things like that. So you got the Ace of Pentacles. That's usually something is being divinely offered to you. There's like there's a new opportunity in terms of being grounded, in terms of home life, in terms of all of those things. However, it is blocked because it came up reversed, right? So you notice where you are, there's like there's a garden, and then there's like a gate and an opening, so you're free to come and go. So there's basically, you know, it's kind of like a home base that you can use to like leave and do new adventures. But here, this offering to you, which is an opportunity, there's something blocking you from this opportunity. Or this could have been happening in the recent past, that there has been some sort of opportunity on the level of like comfort, groundedness, home, and all of that, and it has been blocked for some reason. Now, well, I read reversals as blocked energy, so another way to say it could be that like there's been some sort of delay, or there's been some difficulties as well. Now, what you're looking like right now, it looks like you're kind of stuck. So the 8 of Swords are about the mind. They're about mental issues, intellectual pursuits. They're about reason and rationality. And swords, when you think too much, when there's an excessive aspect to swords, that's when thought becomes things like anxiety or stress or depression. So we have the 8 of Swords here. So there's a woman, she's standing in a marsh. So there's some muddy water here. And muddy water, I mean, water is the element of the cups suit, so there's definitely there's an emotional aspect to this card, even though it's a sword. So, and there's some stagnant emotion here, along with like the stagnancy of thought, because she's standing in a marsh. Now you'll notice in the background there's like a city in the background, so that's where she's from, that's where probably her family and loved ones are, but she has isolated herself. And I look at this card as, you know, she's chosen to be here. There's a wall of swords, and she has basically positioned herself so that she's part of a wall, so she's basically part of what's blocking her right now. You'll notice that she's hoodwinked or blindfolded, and she's also bound. Her arms are bound behind her back, but in such a way that you can kind of tell that she'd actually be able to get out of that easily. Those bonds aren't tight. So to me, this is like, there's a lot here which is self-imposed, right? The bonds, the hoodwink, but also the fact that, you know, she's surrounded by these swords, but the way before her and the way behind her is clear. She can actually take a step forward or take a step back, but she's not in a mental place to do that right now. If you notice this sword here, this one looks shorter, but if you also look where it hits the ground, it's basically in her path. The perspective's a little weird, but it is in her path, the way I see it. So she is positioned to face some of these mental challenges and some of her thoughts that are holding her back, but she's not quite ready yet. So this is the stage where, you know, in order to make progress, you really have to take the blindfold off. You have to face what you need to face. And it's reminding me that you have the power to get out of this situation. You just have to use it. But, you know, it's weighing, the mental aspect in your thoughts are weighing you down right now. Now, as we progress, where you can get to this very successful card. So there's whatever this opportunity with pentacles, since like we have the pentacles on both sides, this earthly stability, like, and happiness is something that you can get. Now, people look at this as, you know, a very prosperous and happy woman usually, but all cards have a light side and a dark side in tarot. So what I usually think of when I see this woman there's two aspects of the card that really jump out to me. There's a snail, a tiny little snail here in the foreground, and then behind her, in the background, there's like a wall. There's like grapes, but she's really just fully enclosed where she's standing. So most of like the gardens and stuff in tarot, they're like this over here on the Ace of Pentacles. There's like, usually you see an archway or something like that, so you can come and go. But over here on the Nine of Pentacles, you know, there's no way out. So even though she has prospered on an earthly plane, since pentacles are the suit of earth, so either she's prospering in terms of being grounded, in terms of her home life, stability in terms of job and whatever, she's also kind of trapped, right? And the snail, to me, it's like there's a dark and the light side, right? It's like you have a home, like a snail carries his home with him, but he also can't escape from it. It's kind of attached. So there's definitely a feeling of trappedness here, which is echoing what we saw in the Eight of Swords over here. Like, there's two women. She's like, this woman has shed the bonds that she was in, and her eyes are open now, and she has found some prosperity. But to some degree, there's like a lingering aspect of being trapped on the dark side somehow. So, and because this came up as reversed, I would say that that's the blockage. I would say that there's definitely some of the dark side of this card, that feeling trapped here. Now, so that's the foundation. So now let me draw a few more cards. So there's someone that you were seeing, and you're also open to new people. So let's take a look at the relationship of you and the person that you were seeing, and then also let's look at what it means to have a new opportunity to see someone else. So let me just kind of spread these out again a little bit and pick a few more cards for you. Okay. Let's pick one for you. Let's pick one for this guy. Now let's pick a card for the energy of the two of you together. Okay. And let's pick a card too. Like, what's the energy of someone new? Like, what is it for? What does it look like when you're looking for someone new in your life? Okay, so that'll be the energy of someone new in your life. So, okay, Queen of Wands, Emperor first, and Star. Okay, so your energy in this relationship here is of the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, wands are about will. They're about the fire inside you and about passion. So, and a queen is someone who has mastery over their passion in a yin sort of way, in a stereotypically feminine sort of way. So queens are rulers, so they have a degree of authority. But in contrast to the king, like a king would wield their authority in a very, sort of an aggressive, very active manner. A woman or a queen, in contrast to a king, would wield their power in a more calculating way. The idea in the court would be that a woman might like spend a little bit more time observing human nature and kind of ruling by influence and in a more muted style than say like the iron fist of a man, right? So here you definitely have, in terms of relationships, right? You understand your desires and the fire inside you. You have control over those things. You nurture them. Queens are also nurturing in how they rule. So you really understand what you want and where your passions are in terms of romance and partners and things like that. And so you seem to be like in a really good position here. Now, this man you mentioned, on the other hand, he's got the Emperor reversed. So the Emperor is like real quintessential masculine energy. He's like the father figure of the major arcana. Usually the major arcana cards come up when something really significant, or you're in a significant phase of life. So he's got the Emperor here. So the Emperor, I'm not always a fan of the Emperor energy, because like if you look at the scene behind him, it's like he's just kind of behind these like desolate mountains, and like the sky is red. It seems like hot, like a desert. There's like this thin stream behind him, so not a lot of emotion is available to him. It's being overshadowed by this really craggy background, right? So emperors are definitely rulers, and they have a lot of masculine energy. And but on that level, though, it came up as reverse. So he's blocked right now in some way. There's a blockage between him and his ability to. You might be like his ability to be successful right now in some respect, or in his ability to command some aspect of his life. So I don't know, blocked, definitely. And then the energy between the two of you is also blocked. It's a major arcana card, so there's definitely, like, this is on the more significant side, the relationship between the two of you. The star is often like, it's like literally how it sounds. It's like, where can you be a star? Where can you shine? So the relationship between the two of you, where can that really cause you guys to shine when you bring the two of you together? But unfortunately, the energy is blocked here too. So it's telling me that, the ability for the two of you to shine like stars, it's blocked. Another way to look at the star is that after you've been through some troubled times, everything kind of crumbles. Like, in the cycles of life, everything often will kind of crumble, and then you have to start over. So the star, the tiny point of light, in tarot, the star becomes the moon, becomes the sun, so that light grows. So this is kind of like also like a little bit of a new beginning after a period of adjustment, or a period of a significant like crumbling, things that crumble down to their foundations. This is like the new spark where you're renewed. But all of that is blocked. So I don't know. you'll have to kind of ponder all of that. Now let's look at the energy of someone new in your life. Interesting. So you've got a queen here and the king of wands. So the king of wands, we kind of just talked about what kings are. Kings are rulers, but they rule more actively. Swords are the suit of the mind, as we were talking about here. So an excess of thought can be on the anxiety depression scale, but under normal circumstances, air, the element of air, would be all about intellect and mental faculties, thought, the realm of thought. So I think a new person in your life over here would be like the King of Swords. I think he would be he would have a lot of not mental acuity necessarily, but a lot of like intellect maybe. And that might be because of the energy that you picked. This is really interesting that you've got like two ruler cards for the men in your life. So maybe, I don't know if you're typically, I'm trying to hold back a sneeze, by the way, so I'm kind of distracted right now. So I don't think I'm going to sneeze anymore. So anyway, you've got these two very masculine energies. So I don't know if you are the type of person who is super attracted to like the authoritative man, the either maybe a type A personality or someone who is like super like, I wouldn't like, frat boys are young, but like a frat boy when they're in their 40s. Like that's the kind of energy maybe, like I might say, if you're into that sort of take charge, sort of like stereotypically masculine guy. I mean, you've got a lot of that energy in like the two cards that I drew for to represent mates for you. So if you're attracted to that kind of guy, maybe the distinction here would be that, okay, this one is more definitely on an intellectual plane and has a lot of intellectual pursuits and has mastery on it over in his life on an intellectual level. Like he knows stuff and he knows what he wants and things like that. Another symbol in the card here is that on the throne behind him, there's like some butterflies, and butterflies are a big symbol in the court cards for the swords. So butterflies represent transformation. So this is someone who uses his intellect in order to transform himself, right? Or maybe to transform what's going on around him, his life. So that's what I'm seeing over here. So like that's what I think you'd find. Now it doesn't really say about whether anything more about like how it would actually turn out. But this is like about, I think maybe like another potential personality coming into your life over here. I don't think there's really much use in like looking at how the relationship would be for someone you haven't met yet. But I think maybe this might be, if this is not like the person who's coming into your life, maybe this is advice on like the type of person you should perhaps consider in contrast to this emperor here, who's just purely like kind of a lone, lonely fellow who's like blocked right now and is like, you know, like acts pretty powerful, but, you know, kind of dry and desiccated. So we'll look at that. Let me look really quick at your message to me again, just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. What's going to come your way in terms of love? You're open to meet new men and dating, willing to find that special one. So you know what? I'm going to draw one more card for you. I'm going to draw a card like an action to take. I'm going to draw like, you know, like sort of an advice card to figure out, well, like what should you do? Like, let's see what happens. Okay, so this is the Ten of Swords. God, you're like kind of like, got it. You have an interesting mix of cards here. This is, so the Ten of Swords is about mental exhaustion. So, there's a guy laying down, he's been stabbed in the back. It's interesting though that you'll notice there's no blood coming out of these wounds. So this is more metaphoric, right? No one's killing you, but swords are about, like we were talking about, it's the suit of the mind, intellect, and in excess, it is like anxiety and depression. So here it's 10. So 10s in tarot are often like like when you take the energy of the suit or the symbol and you take it to excess. So here I would say that there's excessive mental energy, air energy, and that can often result in anxiety and depression. That's the dark side of the card. The light side of the card is that when you are, when you've kind of hit rock bottom, or when you're just completely spent, there's always a new dawn. So if you look at the scenery here, there's like water, there's like a mountain range across the body of water here. There's a dark sky, but then there's this yellow light of dawn. So if you've been in a place, and the scenes here kind of echo over here, like some sort of situation where you're stuck and you're trying to get out of it. I think like this action over here might be exhausting for you, and that's this sort of exhaustion aspect that we're seeing here. So know that from an action or what to do, like know that when you persevere, right, that there will be a new dawn. So whatever's been weighing you down, I think it's probably time to shed that, right? So the 10 is the end of a journey, because like we only have 1 through 10, so you're at the end, but the card whispers of that new beginning. So you need to be on the lookout for your next ace, what's going to be the next thing divinely offered to you that you need to pay attention to. Aces are usually new opportunities. They're often fleeting though. So what you want to do is you want to be coming from this place of exhaustion, trying to get out of these bonds, get the blindfold off, moving forward, coming out of this blockage here. You want to be looking for that new dawn. So in terms of dating, whatever that new opportunity is that's presented to you, make sure that you take it. I think that's all I'm going to say about these cards. Now, the last card is the one that kind of either usually sums up the reading, or it's like a guide for you. So let's take a look at what you drew using that number you gave me. Wow. Well, this is really a great contrast to the rest of the cards here. So you've got the 3 of Cups. This is your first cup. This is about emotional fulfillment, creating emotional fulfillment. Like the 3s are about creation, because you bring 2 together and you make a third. That's kind of like metaphorically a baby, right? So the creation aspect here is like emotional fulfillment. There's a cornucopia in the background here. You have 3 women dancing, holding chalices up. And so it's a celebration. It's pure joy. So a guide for you is, I think, to get out of these situations. So like she is looking for a direction in which to go, right? She can go back, she can go forward, but she's kind of like blocked herself off from movement right now, because you don't usually move a lot when you can't see. She's trying to face some fears. So I think like the direction next that she needs to go, in other words, it's where can you bring joy? Now, since you have command over the fire inside you, right? You've been nurturing the fire inside you and your will and your desires. You actually probably already know where that is. So I think the new dawn, you draw on the fire inside you for that new opportunity to move in a new direction, and that direction is going to bring you joy. So this is really the goal. The goal is to figure out how to find joy. I think it's just that you need to take off the blindfold, really see what's going on. It sounds like you can't avoid this sort of exhaustion, the just being spent here, but that's okay. Sometimes people hit rock bottom, right? But then they can always become a new star, and so seek out joy. I think joy is what needs to tie things together for you, and hopefully it'll be with this guy who's like the intellectual guy. I think that's all I'm going to say. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to read for you.